Hi and welcome. Here's how to prepare your operations to exit the day-to-day operations, build a more passively owned business, and to scale and grow your business beyond yourself. I'm going to start off by showing you what not to do, because I need to kick your butt because most people will be doing this. So basically, to prepare your operations, you need to create all your SOPs and checklists, standard operating procedures and checklists. And we're going to go to the right here in this graph because this is what you shouldn't do, but you probably have done. So typically, what gets in the way of people exiting the day-to-day operations, scaling their business, or building more passively owned business is that the business owner has all the knowledge in their head, and typically a couple of key staff members hold all the knowledge of the business processes within their own brains. And this is typically the founder team. And when you're with the founder team, you tend to learn, you become an expert at your processes and systems, and what you're doing with this still in your head. And here's the thing, at lower stages of pressure, meaning inflow of clients and customers, you and key team members can handle issues and challenges on the fly as you have time for communication. So as an example for me, in this particular business, I run several businesses, but in this business, there's some challenges or issues happening because a client's not dealt with properly or something like that because of a systems issue. My team members can handle that and fix the problem really quickly because they know what they're doing. So typically, most business owners at this stage, with all their knowledge in their head, the team's head, they don't see the importance of developing standard operating procedures. It's an expense that they want to put off. But here's the challenge. You see, once you go past lower loads into high loads, we'll get to that in a second, and the chaos and the crisis it's going to cause you, but you will have no time to develop your SOPs and checklists. So the basic thing at this stage is you can handle it. Now, cracks and system issues aren't considered the big problem. They really are under low volume inflow. But of course, the moment that you are successfully marketing, getting a whole load of new clients on board because you're doing things well and right, the owner and the key staff all of a sudden get put into a workload that is unusual for them. And they don't have time for proper communications as the systems issues are exposed under load, and customers are being let down, and departments aren't talking to each other, sales departments not talking to admin department, those types of things. Now, at this point, the owner will typically go into a head spin, and so will the key staff. And then all of a sudden, there's all this miscommunication that's guaranteed to be happening within your business. You see, at this stage, the business owner becomes a roadblock because staff are trying to get information out of the business owner's head, but the business owner could be away for 2 or 3 hours doing jobs or doing stuff, and the staff member can't get the answer to the challenges and issues. And of course, because there's these problems and breakdowns, the business owner is getting really stressed, really agitated, so the communication gets worse and worse and worse. And the business owner and all the team members have all their normal jobs to do, but now they've got the problems to sort out, what we call like the forest fires to put out. And the owner now and the key staff members are taken away from what we call their highest dollar productive activities, and they're trying to work through the minutiae and the challenges and the problems in the business. And of course, this just undermines productivity. So the business owner actually becomes a roadblock because information's in their head, staff's asking them, so they've got to put time aside to answer those questions. The owner's under undue stress, so doesn't communicate very well. And we start to see projection happening at this point in time. So team members are kind of upset and angry, and the business owner's upset and angry because there's an issue and challenge with communication when it's in your head and in team members' heads. There's you communicating and you assume that the other person's hearing what you've said, but they may not have heard what you've said, or you may have communicated poorly, or they may have not listened. And remember, everyone's under stress in this situation. And so typically people aren't listening as well. They've got a lot of whole stress in their head and other things that they're thinking about. The business owner's the same. So we start to see unhappy cultures when this happens. Now, typically, this is whacking the business owner and whacking the key team members on lots of different fronts: health, emotional health. Cultures start to deteriorate in this situation. Business owner, and it's the business owner's fault, fish rots from the head down. But the business owner tends to get angry at staff, and I'll tell you why that happens in a moment. So typically, to deal with the new load, the success of the new influx of clients, you may have to bring other people on, or a staff member might leave because they're upset or unhappy, whatever. Typically, when you bring a staff member on, and again, the information and knowledge is in your head or your key staff's heads, key staff members or the owner have to spend hours now training verbally this new person. So all of a sudden, again, what's happened is you're taken away from your highest dollar productive activities, and the business is impacted. Again, the business owner and key staff members now become roadblocks to growth, because instead of doing what they can do to make money, they're now training staff verbally. And again, we've got this poor communication problem, because you're sharing information and you will typically not realize how hard it is to retain what we call brain retention of information when you first start a job. So typically this scenario, we have business owners and key staff members starting to think their hires are no good or hopeless. It's not often the case. It's just they're not being set up to do their job properly, and they've been put under undue stress. And of course, during this period of time, the business owner is still like one of those big flies gets caught in a jar, like buzzing around, banging against the sides, stressed out, trying to get everything done. Staff members feel triggered and undermined or inadequate, or they go on the attack, depending on their personality style. Now, at this stage, the business owner really starts to understand that they should have SOPs in place, standard operating procedures, checklists, so that the information is not in their head, and it's been documented so that the team members and new staff members don't have to ask them questions. It's all easy, accessible, and documented, and well thought out and well communicated. But at this point, they don't have the time to do it. Now, it's true to say that there are business owners that continue like this for 40, 50 years. They're nuts. They're absolute nuts. It's just stupid. But anyway, they do. And they must be drama addicts, because it ruins your life. So if we start to go to the big picture of this business can't scale because there's no operational efficiencies, and staff members are tied up doing things they shouldn't be doing because of communication issues. People tend to have health issues, that's mental, emotional, or physical health issues, when they live in these environments for a long period of time. The owner can't take time away from the business because everything relies on them and the knowledge in their head, and the business owner becomes trapped in the business. Culture's never that great, and the business can't sell for much because people don't want to buy a business that's going to lock them into a job. Smart business owners might want to buy your business, but they'll get it for rock bottom prices, and they'll put all the systems and SOPs in and increase the value of your business quickly. So this is just ridiculous. And again, I just want to reiterate what happens as I talk to business owners who have gone down the path I've just explained, which is the wrong path, the crazy path. And they tend to be projecting their blame onto staff all the time. Like, oh, well, I can't get good staff. I can't do this. They're no good, blah, 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 blah. The truth is, 9 times out of 10, you haven't set your staff up with the information and systems and the documentation required for them to be able to do their job properly, which I'll talk about in a second. And therefore, you can't really test staff without setting them up properly to find out whether they're good or not. Okay. So if we come back here and we go to the left, to the green, so how should you do it? What's a smart person do to prepare their operations for growth? for scaling, for exiting the day-to-day operations and putting more passively owned business? Well, the first thing that they do is information is taken from owners and key staff's heads for every process and task in the business ASAP. Okay, ASAP, because of what we just went through on this right-hand side, because the business, once you get too busy, you will just be too busy to put in these SOPs, these checklists for team members. So you do it as soon as possible. Now, you don't make the mistake that certain perfectionist types make, where they systemize things before they go to market. You go to market, test what works. That's kind of chaotic. And once you've found out what works, and then you build out your systems behind what works, as soon as you get to that point, you start to do this process that I'm sharing with you here. Now, also important to say that, just coming back to what I was mentioning before, the reason you don't want to build your systems and system processes out before you go to the marketplace with anything is then you could just spend weeks upon weeks setting up systems and documentation that doesn't work in the real world. So you test first. This is why you do have to work in a bit of chaos to work out what's working, then you systemize and document. So all this information from the business owners and staff members' heads turned into checklists, and here then they're refined and written for a 12-year-old. Then they're tested on third party with no or little expertise to test communication and take out head staff and owners' unconscious competence. Okay, so why do you write for a 12-year-old? And typically we get a professional to do that. Because if we can write for a 12-year-old, we know that anyone that's reading that documentation, following the checklist, will know what to do. And this is why you test the communication on someone that has nothing to do with your business, never been involved before, because you watch them as they go through the checklist, and if they don't understand something, you know that it hasn't been written for a 12-year-old. So it gets rewritten until a person that's fresh and new can do it and do the process. Now, this is going to really help you, because if someone's sick or someone dies, or you've got to bring a new staff member on, by doing it in the way that I'm just sharing with you, you or your senior team members won't have to spend much time with these members as they're being onboarded, because the instructions are so clear, so perfect. And when I said that, we want to take out the owner's unconscious competence, if you came and asked me about our systems, I'm going to tell you, oh, you do this, you do that, and you do this, and you do that. And I'll probably miss 3 or 4 steps because it's already locked into my memory. And, I'm going to downgrade the steps importance, not really think about a beginner needing that knowledge, because it's just something that's in my habit structure. So this is why we write and refine them for a 12-year-old, and then test on someone that's got low skills to see if our instructions can. And by the way, when I mean working, what I mean by low skilled is we want to see onboarding happens fast when someone that doesn't have expertise can follow instructions. So you really know at that point that the instructions themselves are really well written. So it just speeds everything up. Now, these SOPs and checklists are stored for access by everyone on the team, updated as soon as an issue with systems processes has been solved. Staff don't need to ask owners questions, freeing the owner up to be in their highest dollar productive zone. Working on their business, staff don't need to ask other staff questions, freeing the staff up to be in their highest dollar productive zones. Onboarding is easily and smooth. Everyone knows what they need to do. And if there's a problem or challenge, they just go to the systems documentation and the checklist, and it's all there for them. The owner can trust staff now is getting done properly, freeing up brain energy units. Because when you are working in chaos, you always think about, oh, I wonder if Tom's done that. I wonder if Sally's done that. Oh my God, if you're a business owner and that's going on, you're in trouble, because you should be working on what makes money, strategy, and things that a business owner should be doing. New staff on board with ease and feel supported. The owner can now have real evaluation of staff, because they've set the staff up properly with the information they need to do the job properly. And finally, bigger picture. The owner can scale its operations, can handle the load with safety and ease. That's the most important thing. The owner and team enjoy a stress-free, health-creating environment. The owner can leave the business for long holidays. because the business runs without them. They don't need to be around because no one's relying on the information in their head, because it's all there in the documentation and checklists. But you know, you might be you might have an unconscious desire to be important, and therefore you'll sabotage all this because you want to be needed in your business. And I'm not joking here. I work with a lot of business owners that have that as an underlying pattern, like helping people, like being needed. Be aware of these things. So technical is one thing. Also your belief systems, your value systems, how you were brought up, all impacts how you operate as a business owner. So with these SOPs in place, you can start to build a passively owned business. And that's one of the things that we specialize in, helping people build passively owned businesses that can run without them, or with as little input from them as possible. And finally, this kind of business sells for the highest value. So there you go. That's how you prepare your operations for scale, growth, to exit the day-to-day operations, and to build your self out of the business. So you can start working less hours and make more passive income. If you want to have a chat to me, do so. If you want any help, come spend some time. I'm here to help. We know sales, here to give you the best that I can. If you're interested in having us build out your SOPs, we offer that as a service. So just give us a message. We also have VAs that run certain processes for different business owners. But I hope that helps you. If you want a copy of this map, just let me know. Depending on where you're watching this, there can be a link to where you can download it. Anyway, I hope that helps, and see you next time. Catch you.